Back in the 80s, when I don't know where it came from or why we did it, but we used to do this thing that was like kush ahead, and you would see this go kush, squish, squish. I don't know why we did it. It was lame. And every once in a while I think about that, and I see something in the distance and I stick my hand out and I go squish, 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 and it's stupid. I know. Brings me back to being a teenager. And I don't know where it came from, but it was a kind of a joke, you know, kind of thing. Is in my perspective, if I put my hands in the right places, I can just squish you and you're not a problem anymore. And I think that was kind of the thing, was just, you're not a problem. It's interesting how perspective changes things. Of course, my fingers are not bigger than that car, and I'm not going to squish that car. It's just impossible. However, if you didn't know, and you just, you know, had no reference point for anything that we're doing, and it just looks like, wow, your hand looks awful huge. Well, it doesn't. The only thing is my hand looks huge because it's closer to me. And a lot of times problems are like that. Problems seem bigger because they're closer to you than they actually are. And when things are off in the distance, a lot of times we don't see things for what they are or whatever, because they're so far away, and we don't have all the context, and we don't have all the information, we don't have all the knowledge, and sometimes we're just completely unaware of what's coming down the pike because we just haven't got to that step where we can see it yet. But the things that are right in front of us, those are things that make us worry. But just like the perspective of things being a big deal ahead of us, not like right in front of us, and things not being a big deal that are so far ahead of us, things cease to be a big deal when they're so far behind us. Yesterday I was driving, and I all of a sudden got totally embarrassed about something I did 6 years ago. And it's like nobody noticed, and it was kind of dumb, and it wasn't a big deal, and nobody would even remember that except me. And I had this moment of total humiliation of something that was totally irrelevant in my life. And I'm realizing that so many times I do that. I lose perspective of time and place and magnitude because of where I'm sitting, where it is in relation to me, and the problem seems so big. And someone told me once, they said, if you get a problem, something you're worried about, think about, will this bother you in 5 years? And if it doesn't, it shouldn't bother you now. The reality is, the scripture says, be anxious for nothing. There's nothing that should really bother us. I mean, we need to be good stewards, and we need to be concerned, and we need to be aware, and we need to be wise, and we need to be all those things, but we don't need to be anxious. Why? Because God is working things out. If God is bringing us to it, God will give us what we need to get through it. That doesn't necessarily mean we'll come through unscathed, but we will come through shining like gold. God says, I'm going to bring you through things like a refiner's fire or a launderer's soap. And at the time, discipline, that's what it is, seems painful, but at the end, it gives great benefits. So God says, I'm looking at the end. I'm not looking at from your perspective, I'm looking at my perspective. And my perspective is nothing's really a big deal. Nothing's to worry about. God's got it under control. And so we can say and look forward to everything. And if we're concerned, it's like, God's got this. Well, what if it's big? Well, God's got this. Well, what if it's far away? God's got this. What if it's right in my presence now? God's got this. And that should be encouraging. I've got a lot on my plate right now, and a lot of things that are going on in my head. And this is something I need to constantly remind myself about, is that God's got it. And if God's got it, I don't have to worry about it.